This week we're starting to talk about the safety at your job, chemical hazards. Last time we were talking about physical hazards. This is talking about chemical hazards. You got to watch the information about the Radium Girls, and you got to post to the discussion and understand the importance of chemical hazards at work. Now the good thing is, one of the questions asks you about don't you think you should know? Luckily, Federal OSHA has developed what's called a couple things. Hazardous Communications, or HAZCOM, and safety data sheets. Those have changed from material safety data sheets to just safety data sheets. Minnesota OSHA also added the Employee Right to Know program. So that's just a little bit more deeper than the Federal OSHA. So Minnesota OSHA is Employee Right to Know. Federal OSHA is HAZCOM and safety data sheets. So anywhere in the country, you have HAZCOM. Anywhere in Minnesota, you just have Employee Right to Know. So Employee Right to Know, what that's saying, you have the right to know the chemicals you're working with. And that's what it's talking about for HAZCOM. There's some more stuff in Right to Know, but that's the one that we're going to be talking about today. So an example of this is those women should have had the right to know that radium was not good. They should have had the full background. But they just wanted a job, so they sat down and they told them to start painting this, and you're safe. Don't worry about it. We have to understand that that's not okay. You should have your safety data sheet to any chemical you work with at work, and you have to have access to it. They have to provide you access before you work with that chemical. So, come in here, it's a safety data sheet. You might have a binder location somewhere in the workforce. It's going to be located somewhere close, or you might have an electronic system. But you have to have access to that system the entire time you're working. So it can't be on your boss's computer that went home for the night. It's got to be on a system that you have access to. So your assignment number 3, you're going to take a picture of your safety data sheet station at your work and take a picture of one chemical you work with, and you're going to upload that to Schoology. If you're not working yet, what you're going to do is you're going to go into your house, you're going to look for a chemical or a cleaner or something that you're using at home. Then you're going to do an internet search for the SDS sheet for it. So you just type in the chemical name and then you type SDS sheet and upload the sheet to the Schoology assignment. So that's going to be the first assignment number 3, which is the first one this week, or second one this week. Safety data sheets give you warning information. So this is how to read these safety data sheets about the product you're using. First area, we're going to learn how to protect yourself with it. Simplifying hazardous communication. Here's what OSHA talks about. Here's what's required. And here's the different sections of a safety data sheet. There's 16 sections. The big sections you have to know about are 2, 8, and 16. The other ones are very important, but those are the 3 that you should know about for sure before you start working with a chemical. So hazardous identification is going to tell you what is bad about it. 8 is exposure controls and PPE, so how to protect yourself from it. And 16 is going to be how you label bottles that you work with at school. So starting out with 2, and how I always remember this is 2 times 8 is 16. So those are the 3 areas. So section number 2, hazard identification. First of all, it's going to teach you about all the information in this hazard. But these GHS system, globally harmonized elements, or globally harmonized system, shows up here. So this one, I know it can catch fire. This one here, I know it can hurt me. It's a respiratory problem. And it's giving me a danger signal here for this material, whatever this material is. Flammable liquid and vapor suspected of damaging unborn children, may be fatal if swallowed and enters airway, may cause respiratory irritation, may cause drowsiness or dizziness, causes damage to organs through prolonged exposure. So this tells you if you didn't use any PPE, what's going to happen. First thing, signal word, danger, more harmful. That signal word may say warning. That's a less harmful chemical. Doesn't mean it's not harmful, but it's just less harmful. When you see danger, you should be thinking, okay, I need to protect myself from this. Pictograms. They're kind of hard to understand, but health hazard. Gas cylinder, so this could, if this tips over, it could either freeze as it's coming out, or it could go shooting across the room. Flame over a circle is an oxidizer, so that means it makes fire burn hotter. Flame, it's flammable. Corrosive, so if you just get this, it's like an acid. If you get it on your hand, it's bad. Environment, it's bad if it gets released into the environment. Exclamation mark, acute toxicity, harmful. Irritant, dermal sensitizer, so that this gets on your skin. If you inhale it, it's bad for you. It's toxic. Exploding bomb is your explosives, and then skull and crossbones, acute toxicity, severe. Skull and crossbones you kind of want to stay away from. Next item, Section 8, PPE, personal protective equipment. PPE is hard hats, safety glasses, hearing protection, chemical suits, gloves, what you do to keep that chemical away from you. Face shields. COVID-19 PPE. COVID-19 became a hazardous material at work, as we all know, and that has PPE. We see it on TV all the time about what we're supposed to be wearing. Acceptable PPE, preferred PPE. Right, so Section 8, exposure controls and personal protection, talks about what we're trying to keep away from us. Then it talks about hygiene measures. What do you do to keep it off you? Eye and face protection, skin protection, hand, body protection. It tells you all of the stuff that you should be doing. Wear safety eyewear complying with approved standards should be worn when a risk of assessment indicates it's necessary to avoid exposure to liquid splashes. So if this stuff's going to splash on you, got to make sure to wear eye protection. Body protection. Personal protective equipment for the body should be selected based on the task being performed. When the ignition from static electricity is there, you got to be grounded. Other skin protection. Respiratory protection. This tells you what your employer has to provide you. On the bottom, of course, it says this is Golden Oak stain. When it was produced, date of previous issue. Now, what does all this mean? Your responsibility. Your responsibility with this is you need to follow the personal protective guidelines. If you don't follow them, they can't help you. You're going to get something, cancer, whatever it is, later in your life over something you didn't choose to do early in your life. So it's important you're following those ideas. Your other part of responsibility is protecting your coworkers, making sure you're labeling containers at work. So one of the biggest things that happens, for example, water bottle here once in a while sits around, someone pours isopropyl alcohol in it because they're going to use it at their workstation to do some cleaning. Someone else comes by and sees that it's just a bottle of water, picks it up, takes a drink. We got a problem. So your responsibility. By law, if you transfer chemicals to another container and it's not used up by the end of your shift, you should have to label the container. You have to label the container. So if you're going to leave your workstation and your container sitting there, you need to label it. Good practice at work, though, is if you're going to transfer something to another container, label it prior to transferring the chemical. Now that bottle is guaranteed to have the label when I need it. So good practice is prior to transferring the chemical. By law, you just have to label it by the end of your shift. Here's an example of some labels. This is an NFPA label. There's two different types of labels that are around there. Here's a label. And if I take a look, blue is health, red is fire, yellow is instability or can move around, and then specific hazard is white. The higher the number here, they could be 0 through 4. 0 means there's minimal hazard. 4 means there's extreme hazard. So the higher the number here, the more reactive it is. So if it's a 4 in health, that means it's pretty dangerous for you. But if 0 in fire, it means it's not going to catch on fire. Signal word, danger warning, product ID, and then all of your GHS labeling. So how do we work with this? What do we do? You're going to have to do some of this. So you look for the signal word right away. You're looking for this out of number 2, area 2 on an SDS sheet. And you find out the name of the chemical, put it up there, Minwax stain, and you find out that it said danger for signal word. Next area, take a peek at the pictograms, if you can find pictograms on it, and I put X's underneath which pictograms it is. So I just match it up. Important to stay very focused on this and label it correctly. 16, other information. So what we're talking about here now is we've got to fill out this diamond. Other information. So I look for section 16, 320, health, flammability, physical, 320. Assignment number 4, labeling containers at your work. This, you're going to have the opportunity to have a few of these 3 different items, and you're going to create labels just like this on your own. So that's going to be your last assignment for this week. Hopefully, you keep yourself safe with chemicals at work.